Whether you're just starting out or anxiously waiting for Temtem's endgame content, you're invested, you're in, and now you want to know what's next. Hello Tamers, it's Codiak here, back for another survival guide, and today we're taking it to the endgame and talking about some of Temtem's most anticipated content. Since launch, Temtem fans have been anxiously awaiting the first bit of endgame content, that is, the next step after the story. Now obviously Temtem isn't fully released and the current level cap and assortment of Temtem will be expanded in the future, but for now this is what we're working with. On February 17th, players were introduced to the Sai Park, the game's first attempt at extending players' experience after they've run out of things to do. Now we've covered what the Sai Park is in another video, but I wanted to touch on the implications of the Sai Park, what its purpose is in the game, and if it's a step in the right direction for Temtem. The Sai Park offers players the chance to encounter Temtem outside of their natural habitats, and oftentimes at a higher encounter rate. Some weeks these Temtem will possess egg moves, or maybe even have perfect SVs. Other weeks the chance to encounter Luma Temtem will be increased. Now some would say that the chance to encounter these rare Temtem is in and of itself something special, which means that there are actually 4 things that factor into the discussion today. Now the kicker to all of this is the cost. Players will have to pay a certain amount of Pansun to get special Tem cards, and that will depend based on the price set every week. So here's where the debate begins. Is the Sai Park a satisfying step for Temtem fans on both the casual and hardcore side of the spectrum? The answer is maybe. It all depends on your goals. We already know about the weekly quests at the Free Tem Society, capturing and releasing hundreds of Temtem for some varying reward. The Sai Park is something new, something additional, which means for more casual players, a shift in focus. If you care about catching Luma Temtem or rare Temtem, then the Sai Park is probably more valuable. But if you want every competitive edge, are focused on breeding and or building a PvP team, you'll need Pansun, and the only way to do that is by catching and releasing Temtem. Now some weeks, as mentioned above, the park will feature perfect SV Temtem, which could very well fit into the competitive workflow, but it's still too early to tell. It's a fine line, but it all comes down to what you hope to get out of the game. As a general statement, the Sai Park isn't exactly casual friendly. Sure, you can go in there without paying, but you can't capture anything without using these special park cards. On top of that, the Luma encounter rate will vary depending on the week. And even with a 2x bonus, we're only talking about a 1 in 4,000 chance, which could mean hours of farming. Casual players don't have that type of time and would have to make a conscious decision about what they actually want to do in the game. The Crema team has hinted that there will also be a way to actively increase your chance at getting Lumas in the future, but how that all comes to fruition is still a mystery. More hardcore players will find the Sai Park a bit more accessible, but again, it all depends on your main goal. PvP-focused players don't necessarily need Luma Temtem. They're focused on breeding projects and making money so they can continue to build their team. Now on a good week, the Sai Park may be somewhat valuable, providing them with rare Temtem with maxed out SVs, or male variations of those Temtem, or even Temtem with egg moves. These are all valuable things, but it all comes down to the weekly focus of the Sai Park, which Temtem are in there and how the various affixes are distributed. Now this is just one variation of endgame content. We know of multiple other avenues the team hopes to pursue, but with no public roadmap, we don't have a clear idea what's coming when. One of the more casual-friendly features is the arcade, where players can spend Pansun to play games and bring home prizes. As long as the cost to entry is low, there is much more accessibility in terms of this endgame content that all players could enjoy. We already know that the team has some soft spot for Frogger or pinball type experiences, and that could easily translate into some form of minigames, but hopefully we see a lot more depth than that. With no information currently out there about arcade mode, we won't speculate, but do look forward to learning more about this part of the endgame. Looking back to Temtem's Kickstarter, what's clear is that not everything that they plan to implement was outlined in their stretch goals. The big one for us is clubs, and more specifically, the dojo battles they teased in that small section of the post. Clubs will hopefully offer groups a chance for robust in-game interactions, trades, and battles, but with a virtually non-existent social structure in the game currently, this may be hoping for too much too soon. As you probably know, Legion Gaming plans on having a huge club presence once the system comes out, and with the idea of fighting over dojos front and center, we're incredibly interested in what the system could look like. Will teams have to be available for battle 24/7 or risk losing their stake on the dojo? Or will there be more structured, competitive systems in place that allow smaller teams to compete over controlling interests? It's a fascinating concept, but there are a number of risk factors involved. If you're familiar with other large-scale online PvP experiences, you'll know that size matters, and this is something the Crema team will have to deal with. Will a club with 1,000 members roll over the entire community, or will there be a system in place to allow smaller teams a chance to compete? These are all questions we have to ask ourselves as we look ahead to the unknown of Temtem's endgame content. To be honest, I could go on for hours talking about potential endgame content, but let's focus on what we know, not what we want there to be. Competitive Temtem has already popped up with groups and channels dedicating their entire efforts to bringing high-quality matches to the public, but the team plans on implementing that themselves. In-game tournaments with brackets and rewards was the final and most ambitious stretch goal laid out by the Temtem team. But again, where is the bar for entry? The competitive nature of Temtem already demands players spend dozens of hours farming Pansun, breeding Temtem, and crafting a perfect team. So where does that leave the casual player on the outside looking in? These are the questions the Crema team will have to confront, and it's not going to be easy. Depending on who you talk to, what the team should do will vary wildly. So what's in the best interest of the developers? Well, that's not for me to say, but we do want to know what everyone thinks. Endgame content is currently one of the most talked about topics in Temtem, so what would you like to see implemented into the game? Leave us your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to join the Legion team on Discord. We're proud to say we have one of the largest Temtem communities in the game, but there's always room for a few more tamers. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legion Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.